or not?
Believe it.
Believe it. K-Mart, let's start with you. If I said the Chiefs are going to achieve the first Super Bowl three-peat, believe it or not?
Greeny, believe it, because I am not going to be the person that counts out Patrick Mahomes. Listen, we had a lot of questions about their offense, how it looked, their offensive line protection. They've gotten better. This offense looks better at the most important part of the season. So until somebody knocks them off, yeah.
Hard to pick against them. I'm with you. Neek, next up, if I said the Vikings will re-sign Sam Darnold and trade J.J. McCarthy, believe it or not?
I believe it. I know it's a two-stage maneuver. The re-signing Sam Darnold, I believe, is going to happen. What they do with J.J. McCarthy is a little bit more up in the air, but I think they might end up needing to trade him so that they can fill out the roster with rookies that are cheaper to support the contract that they might end up offering Sam Darnold.
They might get a very high pick for him if they're able to do it. Finally, Jeffrey, to you. If I said the Steelers will trade their legendary coach Mike Tomlin if they go one and done in these playoffs, believe it or not?
Not. Listen, Mike Tomlin, 12 of his 18 years, he has exceeded win totals and what expectation is. He has gone to the playoffs. They have not been good in the playoffs, but they have not been favored in forever. He is 7-4 when he's favored. He's 1-6 in an underdog. They've been the 7th seed the last 2 times. Again, he's played this team. No one expected this team to be where they are right now. He played it again. I don't think Pittsburgh gives up on Mike Tomlin.
Let me be very clear about why we're asking this question. In case you just tuned in and you're like, why the hell are you asking that? Shefty reported on Sunday that there is an expectation around the league that teams will call the Steelers during this offseason, essentially right now, to see if they would entertain the possibility of trading Mike Tomlin. We have seen coaches traded before. K-Mart, my insider extraordinaire, this is your game this weekend, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Is this a topic of conversation? Are you hearing people talk about this?
What is a topic always of conversation is that even Pittsburgh fans, in that area, are over Mike Tomlin. There are Steelers fans who are like, we want to move on. We don't win enough. And we have gotten complacent with this, the 500 record over the years.
Yeah.
Which boggles my mind because, I don't believe that the Steelers would trade Mike Tomlin. But I do believe teams should try.
Yeah.
Because given all the accolades that you mentioned, I understand this is a team that, if they're one and done this year, there will be a lot of chatter around Mike Tomlin again, unfortunately. And I think it really is unfortunate because people in Pittsburgh just have gotten sort of, tired of the same old thing. And it's not just on Tomlin. It's on the GMs that they've had. Trying to figure out the quarterback situation, and Kenny Pickett obviously didn't help this.
Right. So look, he's been there 18 years, and that is an extraordinary and abnormally long tenure. Now, the Steelers are an organization that believes in the people that they bring in to their everlasting credit. I say it all the time. They have had 3 head coaches since 1969.
Yeah.
Is it possible that it would be in everyone's best interest, though, after 18 years, for a new voice there and maybe for him? Look what happened to Andy Reid. Andy Reid was in Philly forever. They had a lot of success, didn't get them over the hump. Tomlin has actually won a Super Bowl, of course. I'm sure he didn't want to get fired in Philadelphia. He got a job 5 minutes later, and look at him now in Kansas City. It might not be the worst thing that could happen to Mike Tomlin.
No, I think that for Mike Tomlin, picking a new situation somewhere where the offensive side of the ball is a little more stable at quarterback and figured out might be great for Mike Tomlin. But I think we assume, because there are examples where it's worked out, we assume that it will for him and it will for the Steelers. I think if we actually think about it, the overwhelming likelihood is that they both end up in worse situations. Yeah. So Mike Tomlin is a good coach, and the structure and the culture of their organization fits him. And moving him somewhere else doesn't mean it's automatically going to work again. Culture is something that takes time to change, and they haven't figured out there. So, I'm a little bit more risk averse generally. It's like, if a quarterback shows me a little something, extend him. If a coach is proven, extend him. And that's how I feel about
I'm going to say this right now. There is no team in the NFL that needs a culture built more than the Chicago Bears. Yeah. The Chicago Bears should offer anything it takes to see if the Steelers would be willing to trade them Mike Tomlin and then just hand the franchise to him and get all these other people, all 3 of them who were talking yesterday, the heck out of the way.
But again, think about this. If you're Mike Tomlin, what would be the advantage of you're going to face Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay 6 times a year. You already know your conference. You know Harbaugh. You've already won. You understand what it takes to win. I'm not talking about the division, but win games in the division. division. You're built that way. It's just different.
Mike Tomlin don't run from smoke.
Yeah.
Well, he not scared of none of that. And if I'm
literally
Mike
what he
Tomlin,
said.
I'm gonna say like, I go where I'm celebrated, not tolerated. You know, and whatever Mike Tomlin is. The reality is,
That's well said.
they have a standard. These are privileged organizational
They
problems
are.
because they're so used to winning. It's not crazy to think that Mike Tomlin could thrive somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Would you like your quarterback to be Caleb Williams and try and develop him, or would you like your quarterback to be what he has had the last few years? Would you be shocked if Tyreek Hill played for the Cowboys next season?
Wow, Greeny, I would be shocked because if Jerry Jones couldn't afford the $8 million a year for Derrick Henry, how is he going to get Tyreek Hill? Like, what are we talking about?
Cash strap.
What?
We bring it up because Micah Parsons was trying to recruit him.
Yeah, I get why Michael wants him for sure. I get that.
We'll see. Next one. Would K-Mart be shocked if Josh Allen and the Bills are upset by Denver this weekend?
Okay. Not shocked, but very, very surprised. Here's why. And I say not shocked because we've seen everything happen in the NFL, so nothing shocks me truly. But people are sleeping on the Broncos, particularly that defense led by Patrick Tate. So when I look at this Bills matchup, I think people really need to focus on Denver. What?
The definition of shocked is surprise.
Right.
Kimberley,
I was
I was say.
Okay.
We all understand.
I mean, I don't think it's. Can we change this to impossible?
Okay.
Impossible.
Martin being possible?
Next, and here's the most important one. Kmart, would you be shocked if Jalen Hurts doesn't play against Green Bay?
Okay, my answer is going to be not shocked, but very surprised. But I'm going to say, I'm trying to split hairs here. Listen, here's the important thing. The Eagles waived Ian Book, right, their quarterback, which means that they have Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, and Tanner McKee. They've got all three of them left, which signals that we could see Jalen Hurts this weekend. That's been the most pressing information as far as like gauging whether he'll be good or not.
Let's make sure everyone understands exactly what we're dealing with here and why I said today's the most important day. There is a very specific group of steps, 5 steps, that a player has to go through in order to pass through concussion protocol. And any time that a player fails one of them, he has to go all the way back to the beginning. If he's on the practice field today, then I think the overwhelming likelihood is that Jalen Hurts winds up playing. Although if he wakes up in the morning tomorrow feeling any semblance of symptoms, he goes all the way back to stage 1. So we are living in a world, guys, where Jalen Hurts might not play. This is not an ankle. This is not an elbow. This is a concussion.
And even if he does play, we still don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you still don't know how he.
Well, what are the limitations?
Yeah.
You guys were talking about this morning and the difference in the way they might handle the game.
Yeah, because Jalen Hurts is their quarterback that they want to go through the entire playoffs. And when you have a concussion, obviously it gets easier to then have the repeat symptoms of that concussion. So they aren't going to call this game the way that they would call a normal game. We see that with any injured quarterback. You take certain things out of the playbook. You're a little bit more hesitant. And it's particularly interesting for this team because they are very much predicated on his running ability and the tush push ability, which is like you put your head in that, in like that 4th down in the red zone. Those are key places for this team to have success, and they are all dependent on Jalen Hurts' athleticism.
Yeah, you can't protect him in the tush push, right? Somebody's going to come over the top. He's going to take shots on that in the red zone when he does the zone read and has to pull the ball. Himbo sent me a stat that under Sirianni, Hurts has more than twice as many 1-yard touchdown runs, 33, as any other player in the NFL. He had 11 this year, which leads the league again. That's a massive contribution to your offense. Not only the fourth down conversions, you're literally playing a different game than other teams can play. Because it gets to 4th and 1, no matter where you're on the field, you still feel like we're going to go get it.
Yep.
That gives you an extra down, right? It's kind of the way Detroit likes to play. That aggressiveness when you have a quarterback coming off a concussion where symptoms have lasted since December 22. That's a big deal. Like I'm not trying to minimize and act like he can't play.
Right.
But even if he does play, you're concerned.
The coordinator is thinking
that in his head because you got a lot. You're trying to win a Super Bowl, not just this game.
It's going to be tough to call plays to limit Jalen Hurts' legs to save a concussion. If it's a knee where it's like, hey, you're not as fast, which also opens you up to more injury or continual injury on something. The concussions is such a 100%. If you're susceptible to getting those symptoms coming back fast, that means you're not healed and you're not ready. And I understand the world that we're living in. So this is probably more on Jalen Hurts to protect himself in those runs. Go down sooner. Don't try to fight. Don't wait. But we have to be able to get you running on the outside for this offense to operate, and that worries me.
But that's the 4th and 1, and that's the tush-push concern because you can't protect yourself
do anything.
going over. It's a possibility.
Yeah, to your point, though, they have some options in their offense that it requires his ability to run or at least threaten it for this offense to work at its best.